I just realized this one's not spooky exactly, but it's not exactly not spooky either. It's a family story. It's the story of the kids of a queen. And she had 4 children. These names are hysterical in my opinion. She had Strong Bruce, not Bruce, Strong Bruce, that's right. Strong Bruce, Brave Robert, Burd Ellen, we'll come back to her, and Child Roland. Poor Child Roland, right? Don't feel too bad for him. He has this whole lexicon of myths, but they don't start here. This is a story of Burd Ellen. See, she loved her brothers. Their father had died when the youngest brother was born, and so the kids and their mother, the queen, they rallied around each other. They loved each other so much. And the boys, well, they were fond of Burd Ellen, but even more than that, they liked her cooking. When she was little, she showed such an interest in cooking. She started to learn everything the queen could teach her, and pretty soon, even before she got knee-high, her mother had kind of pushed her out to the royal baker and the royal chef, and soon she surpassed even them. She could make the fanciest of dishes, she could bake the finest of things, but her favorite things to cook were her brother's favorite dishes. Her oldest brother, he loved cockaliki stew. He would say that if he could eat that cockaliki stew, he could live up to his name, which was? Strong Bruce. Let's try again. Strong Bruce. That's right. Now her next in line brother, who was Brave Robert. Yes, Brave Robert. I just wanted to make sure you were going to get there. He would say that if he could eat one of her nut cakes, he would be braver than any 10 men, even though he was only 15. So she would make nut cakes for Brave Robert. She would make cockaliki stew for Strong Bruce. And Child Roland, well, she made bake stones for Child Roland. Yes, I love that look. What the heck is a bake stone, yes? Well, in the rest of the world, they are called Welsh cakes, and they're eaten traditionally around Samhain or Halloween. They look amazing. Someday I'm going to get around to making them. They look like sort of a cross between an English muffin and a nice fluffy biscuit, but they have currants and raisins, and they're made with a sweet yeasted dough, and they're rolled in sugar, and well, I can understand why Child Roland found those to be his favorite, though he could never come up with what they made him the way the older brothers did. Burd Ellen, he was secretly her favorite brother, so she would make him the Welsh cakes, the bake stones, even if he didn't have some hyperbolic phrase to go with it. Well, in addition to cooking for her brothers, she loved to play kickball or other rough and tumble sports. The queen would kick them all out to the backyard of the castle, and they would play until they were filthy dirty. And then she would call them back in and clean them up for court. And this was just one of those days when they were all out in the backyard of the castle, which bordered on the village, and they were running around, and they were rolling in the mud, and they were playing with the kickball, and well, Strong Bruce, he was making sure that Burd Ellen, oh, I bet you're all thinking her name was Burd Ellen with an I. No, if you asked the girl herself, she would tell you, it's Burd, B-U-R-D, and it means lady, thank you, and now I'm going to go kick that ball over my brother's head. And off she would go. Because Burd Ellen had the best kick of any of those children. Well, Strong Bruce didn't really like that, so he would tackle her whenever she would get too close to the ball. But she got a good kick off anyway, and it went clear over the spire of the nearby church. Well, she said, I'm the one who kicked it. One of you should go and get it. But the brothers would not. Not even Child Roland. Not even when she tempted him with bake stones. You're going to make them for me anyway. Fine. And off she went. But just to be cantankerous, she went widdershins around the church. You see, their mother had been very clear with them. If you ever go anywhere near the church, you must always follow the path of the sun. Go clockwise around the church. But she was feeling very contrary, and she went widdershins around the church to go get that ball. And she didn't come back.
Uh-oh.
Well, the boys, they thought she was playing a trick on them. And so they all ran around the church, and they couldn't find her anywhere. Well, they came back and told their mother, the queen, what had happened, and she got a huge search party out, and they all looked all day long, but they could not find the girl. So finally, the queen went to the priest and priestess of the old religion. She said, have you any idea what could have happened to my daughter, to Burd Ellen? He said, yes. If she went widdershins around the church, well, that is an old and holy place. If you do not follow the path of the sun, you're in danger of being taken to the shadow land. What can we do? Said the queen. Well, someone will have to go to the hill at the farthest edge of town, precisely at midnight. And they better have a strong sword arm and a good horse. And they should ride in, find Burd Ellen, and ride out. And above all, they must not eat or drink a drop or a crumb while they are there. The queen went home, and she told the boys, and strong Bruce, of course, leapt up. He got his sword. He had a very strong sword arm, and he got onto his very best horse, and he rode off, and precisely at midnight he reached the hill and rode straight into it, closing his eyes in case it didn't open, but it did. And soon he was riding down a passageway further and further into the hill, and when he got to the very bottom, he could smell cockaliki soup. His sister Burd Ellen's cockaliki soup. He remembered their mother, the queen, had made up a little ditty about her. Burd Ellen, just give her a pan, and your clan will be happy till the last grinning man. And oh, strong Brucey grinned, and he leapt off his horse because there he could see his sister making cockaliki soup. And he said, oh, Burd Ellen, we've all been so worried, but that smells amazing. Will you give me just a bowl of soup before we go back? And Burd Ellen, as though bespelled, laid the soup in front of him. And as soon as he had taken just one spoonful of that soup, he turned to stone, with the sword still in his scabbard, and so did his horse. Well, Burd Ellen, she cleaned up the soup and she cried, why do I have to be the instrument that keeps my brother here, as good as dead? But the shades did not answer her. And the next day, when strong Bruce did not come back, brave Robert got his horse and his sword and rode out to that hill precisely at midnight, rode through without closing his eyes because he was brave. But when he got to the bottom of that long passageway, he could smell the nut cake. The nut cake that's so light and so airy and so melt in your mouth. If I eat that, I'm braver than any 20 men. And he leapt off his horse and picked up his sister and swirled her around and placed her back down again and said, oh, we've all been so worried. But before I take you back, can I just have a slice of the nut cake I smell? Burd Ellen laid that slice of nut cake, seasoned with perhaps just a little salty tear, and watched her brother eat and turn to stone along with his horse. Well, back at home, people were getting very concerned. Neither brother had made it back, and they still didn't know for sure where Burd Ellen was, and Child Roland piped up, "Mother, I must go. I must go and look for her. I know that I will be able to find her." And so the queen said, "Well, you have no sword, and you have no horse. I will give you mine." And so she gave him her sword that she always had by the side of the throne, and her old horse from the days when she still rode in battle. And Child Roland climbed up upon that horse and put the scabbard, drew the sword from the scabbard and said, "I will return with Burd Ellen, Mother." And she said, "You listen to me. Don't you eat a crumb or drink a drop while you are in the Shadowlands. And if the horse should happen to give you any advice, follow it." "Okay," said the boy. And he rode off. Now, he hadn't been quite the horseman that his brothers were, and so he started off a little early and got to the hill a little before midnight. He said to the horse, "Do you have any advice for me?" "Wait till midnight." "Okay." I couldn't possibly have heard that, thought Child Roland, but still it's good advice. And so he waited until it was precisely midnight and clicked to the horse and went in through into the hill and down that long passageway. But when he got to the bottom, he dismounted from the horse and he drew his sword and he walked in to the kitchen where he could smell Welsh cakes, bakestones on the griddle. Oh, so sweet, so much the very thing that he felt he had been looking for. In fact, when he saw his sister, he said, "Oh, Burd Ellen, oh, I'd forgotten it was you I was looking for. Oh, those bakestones smell so good. Please, may I just have one, and then we'll go back." And he looked to the right and to the left. He said, "These are some awfully strange statues you have in your kitchen." But Burd Ellen, she didn't say anything. She just took the Welsh cakes off the griddle and put them on a pan in front of her brother. When all of a sudden, they heard a crash, and through the door came the horse. And the horse said, "Hey, remember your mother said, don't you eat nor drink while you are here." And he knocked the plate of Welsh cakes out of the boy's hand, and it crashed on the floor. And the room became alive with shades. From everywhere they leapt, and they tried to get the boy, but he held up his sword, and well, it struck true everywhere he went, and pretty soon he was feeling like he must be quite the swordsman, because he got every single shade. And when he had gotten the last shade with that sword of his mother's, Burd Ellen suddenly cried out, "Quickly, quickly, touch the sword to each of the statues." And he did. And their brothers came alive. And they mounted their horses, and Burd Ellen on top of her mother's horse with her brother Child Roland, they all rode out from under the hill back to the castle. And there was a great deal of feasting and rejoicing after that. And I'm told that after that, Burd Ellen, well, she still played kickball, but she didn't go widdershins around the church ever again. So remember, if a horse happens to give you advice, I say take it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.